Hey everyone, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. And in this episode I'm going to continue teaching you how to draw trees. And today's specific tree is the oak tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of place in just roughly where I want my land to go. It doesn't have to exactly stop there. I'm not always going to draw my tree right on the horizon line. A lot of times you'll have the land going up behind it, but I want a place where the base of my tree can grow. So very lightly I'm going to sketch that in. And then I'm going to start from the ground and work up with this tree. So I'm going to start off with the trunk, and I'm just going to draw really light and kind of messy because I want it to be very organic. A lot of times when we're drawing a tree, we get so focused on getting a nice straight and firm line that we lose this really cool organic feel to our tree. So I'm going to bring my tree trunk up, and I want a nice good solid base on my trunk. From here on in, the branches go wild with an oak tree. There's no rules or regulations for how the branches go. So I'm just going to initially draw them out with just using my pencil and having them kind of spread out, keeping everything kind of really loose, kind of messy. I can clean things up a little bit later and kind of sketch in my initial branches here. Just like so. And I also want to think about branches that are overlapping each other, because they're not just going to come out perfectly and not be overlapping, but having some branches that kind of come out and maybe go back in around behind. I'm just going to add a little bit more depth to my picture. Again, just very, very lightly. You'll also notice that I'm holding my pencil far back. This is lessening the control that I have on my pencil. If I hold it down here, I'm in very strong control over my pencil. I'm also keeping my hand to the side, which again also lessens the control. You'll notice that sometimes in my drawing, when I'm drawing, I do what I call as my knuckle drawings, because I'm like this and you can't see what I'm doing because bam, my knuckle's in the way. That's because I'm controlling my line. I am making a very precise line mark. And so by holding your pencil lower down on the pencil and holding it more vertical instead of horizontal, gives you that control. So you might be thinking, why would you want less control of your pencil? Well, for things like an organic line, sometimes you want the pencil just to do what it wants to do. It can create a better organic line than you can if you try to actually draw that line yourself. So holding it back a little bit further and holding it to the side, holding it loosely, not no death grips on your pencil, is really going to help you get that shape. If you find that your lines are just not working for you, try doing that, see how that works for you. So once I have my main branches, so I have my limbs, which are the thicker parts, and then as they go out from the limbs, those are the branches. And then later on I'll put even twigs in, which are just very single lines. So I have trunk, limbs, branches. Once I have this, then I have to start determining, is this tree in the summertime, fall time, winter time? Because this tree will lose all of its leaves during the winter time. It changes. So I want to begin thinking about that as well. I'm also going to begin kind of defining out my lines a little bit. I'm going to be deciding which branches are in the front, which ones are in the back, cleaning up that drawing a little bit. So once I have this nice kind of solid shape that I like, then I can begin to think about the shading and shadowing. And so you're going to find out where is your light source coming from, and you're going to add your shadowing to the side that is opposite of your light source. So I have a couple of videos on how to do some shading. So I'll leave those links at the end of this video and in the description box below so that you can check those out. But finding those out, finding out where your light is going to be important, because you don't want to start shading on this side and then as you get up on this side of the tree you start shading on that side. It's going to mess your shadowing up. Because the tree is not smooth, I want to convey that textured feel to it. I'm going to add a little bit of lining to this side of the tree as well, just to kind of pull in some texture, and that's going to give it that rough kind of look to it. And I'm just making just really small little marks with my pencil. On the branches that are behind, I'm going to darken those in just a little bit more. It's going to push them back, and then the lighter branches will be in front. So by this time, you should have decided whether or not you want your tree in the summer or in the winter or fall or spring. So if you wanted it to be in the wintertime, you would continue this same method and then just going in and adding in your very small detail for branches. But I want to go ahead and show you how to add some leaves to this. I've already done one tree without any leaves. I did a tutorial on that. But I want to show you a technique for adding some leaves to your tree. For this technique, I'm going to use the side of my pencil, and I'm just going to come through here and I'm going to make just some marks on my paper. Like little circle marks, but I'm not making a cloud. Just creating the pattern of what the leaves will look like. And don't be afraid to take the leaves right off to the edge of the paper. My focus on this picture was just really cool trunk. The leaves are just going to kind of help frame that in there. And so by taking the leaves right off the edge of the paper, kind of adds a little bit of interest to that. And you want to think about the leaves are going to be where the branches are. So you're not going to be putting, leaves down here where there's no branches connecting them. And you also don't have to make them totally uniformal. It doesn't have to be this even shape all the way around. You can have some leaves down here and none right here if you don't have a branch going off that way. And just like I brought the leaves to the edge of this paper, I'm going to bring the tops of these leaves right off to the top of the edge of the paper. And I also want to think about leaves that are on the other side of the tree that would be overlapped by these actual branches. So I'm going to bring in some textures over here, but stop them when they get to the branches. And not have those leaves overlap the branches themselves. Once I have this basic shape in there, then I can go in there and start really just crisping up some of my lines. And as I get up into the leaves, I might skip around just a little bit, just to show the branches are moving up through there, but maybe they're a little bit covered up by those leaves. And then if you want to, you can kind of get in there and add a little bit more detailed texture to your leaves. And I'm going to do that using the tip of my pencil and kind of adding I'm not drawing the leaves out, I'm just kind of drawing in some squiggly lines almost, and that's going to translate over into leaves. Just adding a little bit more defined texture. You don't really need to get in there and draw each individual leaf. In fact, if you do that, it might actually cartoonify your picture a little bit. You want to stay a little bit more abstract. And again, this is something that you could just continue spending as much time as you want. The more time you spend on a drawing like this, of course, the better it's going to start to look. The closer the leaves are to you, the more kind of defined the texture will be. So the leaves out in the front of this tree, I might do more of this kind of defining detail. But these back leaves back here, I'm probably not going to do that as much because it will even the playing field. It will make all the same focus. And when you look at something, the thing that you're focused on is the only thing that's focused. Other things then become blurry. And so because I want the focus to be on the front of this tree, I'm not going to add that detailed texture lines to the back part of the leaves. Just here, and that's going to create depth into my picture. Alright, once you get to this point, then I'm going to begin to adding a little bit of shading and shadowing. So I'm going to use the side of my pencil again on the leaves, and I'm going to create a shadow to some of those leaves and give a little bit more fullness to the foliage. Fullness to my foliage. I don't want to color the whole tree in, but I want it to look a little bit fuller. I'm going to create some really dark spots in there and bring out some lighter spots. And I do want some places where the light is shining through the branches. So it's just this kind of delicate dance between creating shadow, but also keeping your light sources coming through. So this is why I say this just takes time. Just don't try to rush these kinds of drawings if you want them to really hold that detail in there. Just be willing to put the time and effort into creating this cool picture. And keep building up that shadow and that highlight texture, just layering that on there. Well, there we go. A kind of a take on how to draw a fun tree, kind of an oak tree. And again, there are so many different ways to draw trees, and I'll be doing several other videos on different types of trees. So I hope you'll check back with those. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on those videos. Check out some of my other videos too if you enjoyed this one and you're new to the Art a la Carte channel. I have videos on all different topics, and my topics come from viewers just like you, leaving comments on what you guys would like to see. So make sure that you post in the description box below some things that you would like to see in upcoming tutorials. Helps me keep everything relevant to what you guys are wanting to learn, not just what I want to teach you guys. So yeah, if you have a favorite type of tree, maybe you have a childhood tree that you always used to climb or whatever, let me know. My childhood trees were obviously oak trees. I had some apple trees that I would climb, and I also had some aspen trees that I used to absolutely adore. So let me know what your favorite type of tree is in the comment section below. And again, thank you guys so much for drawing with me today. And until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.